Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Grow Your Tutoring Business. Today we are focusing on value-based pricing. Pricing is one of those topics that gets asked a lot inside our main group, but also with those who work with me on a one-to-one or within like a group session. Now, the reason pricing is this really tricky situation is because we are not used to looking at how to package up what we have as a skill and expertise and then putting a monetary value to it. Now, I'm talking about value-based pricing today because it's one of many ways that you can find pricing for your for your services. But I'm also going to put a little caveat in, is that I don't think it's always the best place to start. I actually think you're far better off if you are just beginning, is to look at what you need to earn or would like to earn over the course of a week or month and work back from there. So you need to say, like, let's say I wanted to earn £2,000 a month and I've got 10 hours a week to work, which is 40 hours a month on average. You would do 2,000 divided by 40. And then you kind of come up with a price, and that would take you towards you hitting your target. We can do this with 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 10,000, and so on, depending on where you want to go. Now, that always gives you a good starting point based on how many hours you can work. It's a really good way, a quick, fast way to find an hourly rate. But we do not want to be selling ourselves at an hourly rate. What we want to be doing is selling ourselves with the value that we provide. What are the outcomes that somebody wants from us? What are the outcomes that you can provide? I think there are a number of benefits of doing it this way. First of all, as a business owner, when you're focusing on the value or the outcomes that you provide to a parent of the family, the child, the young person that you support, it means that you're able to talk about it put it into your messaging in a way that means that you're able to reach the right people. I'm going to talk about this from my perspective, which is I sell a lot of services around the Kent test or 11 plus. So I'm based in Kent. Our 11 plus for access into grammar school is called the Kent test. Pretty standard 11 plus test. I don't think it's as hard as some of the others around the country, and it's certainly not at the level that you'd see at an independent school, for example. Most of the work is between a year 5 and year 6 level. So from a perspective of what I can offer, I would consider myself an expert at year 5 and year 6. I spent many years teaching that age range. I understand what the curriculum is asking of them. And so therefore I can really easily fit the gap or fill the gaps that a child would need to fill so that they were confident when they were taking the test, which is typically in September into the new year. So they move from year 5 to year 6 and they take the test. I can talk about that stuff, and I can talk about how I can help increase their confidence with their maths. I can help them become a stronger reader and understand what they're reading, so therefore give their comprehension a boost. We can talk about vocabulary levels. We can do it in a fun way, like I introduce a lot of games into our sessions, just as an example. The value that somebody gets actually goes far beyond just the academics as well. We'll talk a lot about the psychology around taking a test and learning, like how difficult it can be, because we don't all learn in that linear way. We bring our own stuff with us. We do that as adults. Children do that too. And it needs managing. So it's not just a case of sitting them down in front of a test and coaching them through. That could be enough for some, but often it's not for most. So I'm sure you can tell as I start talking about this, I'm not just talking about like verbal reasoning and non-verbal reasoning or the English and the maths. So I'm talking about the stuff around this that makes a big difference. Okay, now I can talk about this because I've been doing it for a while. I understand the value that my tuition brings. And then it's like the complicated part is like, how do we put this into a package? How do we place this down so it looks like we are really focused on the value and we're not focusing on the hourly rate? And why should we do this? Well, I think there are a few reasons, right? So one of the first reasons why I moved towards this was because I wanted to get the message out and I wanted to make it feel like a no-brainer deal for parents, particularly when I was moving from one-to-one into groups. So my big message around this when I first did this was to everybody I was kind of like supporting at the time was like, I'm not going to advertise my one-to-one anymore. I'm just going to put on my website about the groups. When I talk about it on Facebook, I'm just going to talk about groups. It doesn't mean to say that somebody couldn't get one-to-one, because I still do some one-to-one time. But the majority, particularly for Kent testers, group work only. And I will make sure that that's like loud and clear before somebody even picks up the phone. so that one-to-one is not really spoken about. So what makes my service stand out? Well, first of all, I think that I don't think this is just about how we package it up. I think this is more about how we show up time and time again. So that what makes me stand out above other people would be me. And it's the same vice versa. Somebody might choose the tutor down the road for me because they've shown up and they've got to know them a little bit. And that is their unique selling point. It's just them. I think the same. So this is why I don't feel like we have that competition. It's just like show up, be consistent, the right people will find you. But if they do find you, and hopefully they do, like what are they seeing? Are they seeing an hourly rate that it's just Kentish tuition and it costs £28 an hour to join a group of six? Or are they seeing it's packaged up in a specific way, which I'll talk about in a minute because I know we're talking about pricing, but for this price, you get this, 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 and this, and there's a big long list of the value that you provide and the reasons why. What we're really talking about is what are the benefits of a parent choosing you? What's the outcome they can expect from choosing you? I don't think we should be guaranteeing results because I don't think we can. If you do this, make sure you've got really good indemnity insurance to cover you in case it doesn't go the way that we want it to. But essentially, we want to make sure that when we are providing this value or at least showing it off, the parent can perceive it in a particular way that resonates with the price. Moving away from hourly rate also has another benefit, which is that you can start charging monthly or half-termly or termly if you like. And I think that gives flexibility with the price that you can pay. So let's rewind back to when I was a one-to-one tutor charging £30 an hour. That would be £120 a month on average. Okay, so one-to-one tuition, £120 a month, you get me for an hour. That's me selling my time. But if I show up and say, well, actually, this is what you get when you employ me as a tutor, which is you get the session, you get access to my online revision courses, you also get access to the homework portal, you also get my phone number so you can text me and I can keep in contact with you, you get weekly emails, I'm going to send you homework. Suddenly, like I'm stacking up all of these things that I offer. Now, these are more features rather than benefits. What would the benefits be? Benefits would be, well, I focus a lot on like the psychology around tuition and learning. We talk about comfort zone. We talk about how we can deal with anxiety. We look at that test stress. We look at how we can set up for revision. We do a lot around this kind of mindset area. Now, I can pick that apart and I can create copy for the website or social media posts to put that out. And then I can repurpose that over and over again so parents can see it. So when we join all of this together, what do we get? We get a package of care that is really clear, like what's on offer. Now, remember earlier on, I said £120 a month. Now, £120 a month would get you, this is if we start packaging and start putting tiers in place, would get you my time, and it would mean I'd buy your resources. But for tier 2, I would say you get my time, you get the resources that I pay for you, but you'd also get access to the revision and you'd get access to, I don't know, there'll be something in the 4th part. Now, and I'd stack it out. And if you don't have anything here, this is the purpose of being value-based, is that you focus on the value and you start to look at what else can be included. And that's the power. Now, sometimes that means you're investing time into something. Other times it might mean you investing some money back into the business to make it even stronger. But essentially just changing our mindset away from just focusing on our hourly rate to changing it to sort of being more value-based and more about the package of support, you can move these numbers up. So instead of being £120 a month, now you can change it to being £150, or at least they've got the option. And then you stack out the one you want them to choose. Let's just pretend it's the £150 a month one because that's a little bit of extra money. And out of that £150, it's going to cost you £10 out of that to invest and make the value work. So essentially, you're just using their money to invest back into their child, and they're paying an extra so much for it. And you're able to add in these extra value pieces that really like starts to move the needle for you as a business, but also for accelerating the child's progress and what that support feels like for that family and that child and young person that you're supporting. Now, when I first started this, as I said, I'd tell you this story, I kind of went all in on this and I had like my basic, and this was, I think I was at about £20 an hour. When I first went to groups, I changed it to £20 an hour and I was going to have 6 in a group. And I had the standard offering. And in the middle offering, I changed it to, so what I went half termly. So it was about £120 per half term. But I had £150 a month one, which included access to workshops, access to mock tests, and I had a recorded school then, so loads of lessons online for revision. And I gave them everything in that second package. I think the second package, actually, I didn't have mock tests. I added that into the third one. And all I did with mock tests was give them a bit of a discount on it for me, like as in, I didn't actually say this was a discount. I just said this is what's included, and I changed it to 170. So I had 120, 150, and then £170 package. But the thing is, it was actually quite hard to manage, and I was on my own at the time. This was like when my business was really growing. I moved from one-to-one to groups. This is when I started hitting well over 5k a month, and I went well beyond that. But what I had was a mixture of people on £170 and then 150. Don't think I had anybody on 120. Everyone went for tier 2 or tier 3, but there was a lot to manage. And so this year I actually streamlined it down and just went to 2. And my standard package is the middle one, and then I have an upper one. So tier 1 is like, this is what you get as standard. I got rid of the bog standard one. I just said, right, this is what you get. And I kind of included everything. And in the second package, it included the mock test. And I have a bit of a mix between the two. But because I didn't have like really anybody split across all 3 this time, it was a lot more manageable. And also I used Go Cardless. Last year, I had some people on Go Cardless and on invoices. It's about 50-50. And so there was a lot of work at the start of the year to set up Go Cardless. Yes, there's a lot of work. This is just basically asking parents to pay by direct debit. I gave people a choice last year, whereas this year I didn't. I just said, no, it's all on direct debit. I had a few people, like previous customers, that were like, we prefer the half-termly invoices. That was fine. I sorted them out. I think I have to send 3 invoices 6 times a year this year. And so the move towards sort of having over 90% of the clients on Go Cardless is just a game changer. It costs a little bit of money, but it cost me like virtually 0 time chasing up payments. It just all happens in advance. It just lands in my account. Happy days. So let's just recap like this value-based pricing, how it can really help. It stops you thinking about your hourly rate, and it starts to help you focus on the value that you provide. Once you start to do that, you can add in tiers. And you don't have to start with that. You could just do 1 tier to start with and just start looking at how you can stack value in. When you get good at this, you can look at what tier 2 might look like and start making plans. So that might be a pre-recorded revision course. It could be that you want to start doing workshops, online workshops, and you're going to give them access. But you also could sell seats separately as well for those people who are maybe unsure about having the long-term commitment. And mock tests or anything else that might work in your business. Once you start stacking this out with value, you can start looking at the pricing and you can adjust. So I went from doing £120 a month to doing 150, just adding an extra £30 a month for not really doing that much more. And then offering extra services like the workshops, which was a really good leverage of time. Like I run my workshops slightly differently to my sessions. They're very much like test focused. Still loads of chance to ask questions and revise. That's really what it's about. But I would do 10 in a workshop rather than my standard 5 or 6 in a group that I would do during the week, and I would charge that at £40 per head. So over 2 hours, there's £400 coming into the business potentially, or stacking that into a value and having people pay more per month or per half term and having that recurring income all through the year. So there's a few ideas for value-based. What value do you offer in your business? Are you still stuck on hourly rate selling, or is this something that you're interested in? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. This is something that really supported the growth of my business a few years ago, and I know it can support yours too. Let me know if you have any questions about this, and I'll speak to you all very soon. See you later.